Good morning. Everyone
Ah,
is
yes, sir. Welcome, welcome,
Good
welcome,
morning,
sir.
sir.
How are you,
Good
sir?
morning, sir.
very good morning. Very good
Very
morning.
happy to be with you today. Thank you. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Very much welcome.
Thank you, Selvaras, sir.
Yes.
Good morning, sir. We
Very,
welcome you for this wonderful webinar. Excuse me, sir. A very
yeah,
good morning, sir.
very good morning.
Yeah, sir. Thank you.
So, am I audible and clear?
Yes, sir. You are audible very clear. How is the climate, sir, at your Kaushabad?
Delhi is all raining these days. So today also
Oh,
there is cloudy weather.
oh,
So yesterday it was raining quite heavily, and today also seems by end of the day it will rain.
oh, right. You are comfortable with the climate. So rainy days is the enjoyment day, is it not?
Correct. Very
Yeah.
true.
You have to enjoy the nature.
Very true. Very true, sir. Very true. So have the students joined, and we can
Yeah, yeah.
start.
Sir, Suresh, sir, what time shall we start,
Yeah, we
madam?
can.
Sir, 2 minutes, sir. On
Ah,
2 minutes,
okay,
sir.
okay.
On 2 minutes, sir. On 2 minutes. So wait for 2 minutes, sir. Madam will join, sir. HOD madam will join.
Okay.
Shyamla? Shyamla? Shyamla?
Yeah, sir. Am I audible and visible?
Start the session, pa.
Okay, sir. Good morning, one and all. A warm welcome to everyone present here. I'm Shamla Devi from second year CSE department. It's my pleasure to host this wonderful webinar. Thanks to our coordinator for choosing me. Mr. Selvaraj sir and Mr. Mohitesh Mishra sir, PSNA department welcomes you with immense pleasure. Without further delay, I would like to call upon Ms. Varna from CSE department, second year, to welcome us all. Ms. Varna?
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
You are very much audible. Very much audible.
Good morning to one and all presented here for today's webinar on use of machine learning and data science for startups. On this auspicious occasion, myself, Swarna B, second year CSED of PSNA College of Engineering and Technology, is here to welcome you all. I would express my gratitude to everyone for selecting me to welcome you all. As part of this blessed event, I would like to invite the gathering. First of all, I would like to invite our resource person, Mr. Mohitesh Mishra, co-founder, advisor, Ziphias XP Life Private Limited, Technology Evangelist, New Delhi. I welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
I need to thank our chairperson, Tirumati K. Dhanalakshmi, and pro-chairman, Rotarian RSK Raghuram in absentia, and our principal, Dr. T. Vasudevan, for arranging this great opportunity. And I must mention our deep sense of invitation to our beloved HOD, Dr. D. Shanti, and our coordinators, Dr. D. Suresh and Mr. N. Rajesh Pandian, organized the webinar for students' benefit. I extend my hearty welcome to our staff members. Last but not least, I record my hearty greetings to all the students, the learners to the gathering. Once again, I welcome you all to the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Varna. Next, I warmly welcome her HOD, Dr. D. Shanti ma'am, to deliver her address. Ma'am, the stage is yours.
Chief guest of the day, Mr. Mohit Mishra and Mr. Selvaraj from CSI, and coordinators of CSI event, Dr. D. Suresh and Mr. Rajesh Pandian, and my dear students. Good morning and welcome to all for this webinar on use of machine learning and data science for startups. Before starting that, I must thank Mr. Selvaraj for giving the opportunity for us to conduct the event. And I must thank Mr. Mohit Mishra, co-founder, director of Svias Express System, for accepting our invitation to share his expertise with our students. And before starting this, let me give small gist of this machine learning and data science for our students, because you are the right person to discuss all those things. But we will just throw the glimpse view of this AI and machine learning. So machine learning is a hot topic right now. Everyone is trying to get their hands on any information they can get. And at the same time, artificial intelligence also area of the computer science to emphasize the creation of intelligence machines that work and react like humans. So this machine learning falls under umbrella of AI, which provides a system with the ability to automatically learn and improve from the experience without being explicitly programmed. So the process of learning, how it will happen with observations or data, such as example or direct experience or instruction or to look out the patterns to make a better decisions for any kind of application. So the main aim is to allow the computers to learn automatically without human intervention or without any assistance. For that, data science also, it plays very important role. Today we have a right person to discuss how the startups can be done with the machine learning and data science. But the specialty of the data science is it's about process and it's a field about processes and system to extract from structured and semi-structured data. Both this data science and machine learning are very popular buzzwords today. These two terms are thrown around together but should not be mistaken for synonyms. This is everywhere. The data science and machine learning, that are artificial intelligence, we need to understand the properly, then only you can upskill in the respective domain. Although data science includes machine learning, it is very vast field with many different tools. So I conclude, like, data science produces insights of the data, machine learning produces predictions, and artificial intelligence produce actions. These are all related each other. When you get through it all, then you will be completely able to do any application or develop an application in the machine learning. With a small example, I will conclude my speech. Suppose we are building a self-driving car, and we are working on a specific problem of stopping at stop signs. So we need to skills drawn from all the three fields, all of these three fields. Machine learning, the car has to recognize a stop sign using its camera. So with the help of machine learning, we construct a data set of millions of photos of street side objects and train the algorithm to predict which have these stop signs in them. So the machine learning will help to predict where the stop signs comes, where it should recognize, and where it should stop. In order to do action, artificial intelligence plays. Once our car can recognize stop signs, it needs to decide when to take action of applying the brakes. It is dangerous to apply them too early or too late, and we need it to handle it varying road conditions, and based on the road condition also you have to apply the brake, whether it is a slippery road or a bumpy road, all those things are matters here. So with the help of machine learning, artificial intelligence will do actions. Machine learning will predict where the stop signs. But data science only will identify what are the street objects or stop signs. So maybe in street object we can find cost performance is not good enough, then it must be some false negative is there. So we need to take the object in the way, we need to take the training example. Data is very important. Understanding the data is very important, so that the machine learning should not give the false negative output. So after analyzing, for example, if there is a stop sign is not being recognized, and then there must be a problem with the street data. So the insight, if you happen to maybe the object, what are the objects being collected at daytime. So this system may not be able to recognize before and after, before sunrise as well as once we realize we need to do that's why I just put more emphasis on data science, how the data is being acquired and what are the data processing should be done. If the data is correct, then other thing, machine learning and artificial intelligence will work fine. Okay, with this I would thank the coordinators for giving the opportunity. I hope this entire session will be very useful for you. So you just make a note of it and make use of the opportunity. What are the opportunities comes to you, you just make it and develop yourself in particular field. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. You always want to delight with your thought-provoking words. You amazed us today too. Thank you, ma'am. Today we have a chief guest, Engineer Mohitesh Mishra, to share his knowledge to us. Let us know a glimpse of them. I warmly welcome Mr. R. Selvaraj sir, Chairman, Computer Society of India, Tiruchirappalli chapter, to help me in welcoming our honorable chief guest by introducing him. Handing over to Mr. Selvaraj. Sir, the stage is yours.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Very happy. Good morning to everyone. Respected today's speaker, Engineer Mohitesh Mishra, co-founder, advisor, GPS, Expert Life Private Limited, Technology Evangelist, New Delhi. First of all, I thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation to deliver a webinar on the use of machine learning and data science for startups to the computer science engineering students of the PSNA Engineering College of Engineering and Technology, Dindikal. Respected Trimadi K. Dhanalakshmi, Chairperson, respected RSK Raghuram, Pro-Chairman, respected Dr. D. Vasudevan, Principal, Convener, Dr. D. Santi, HOD, Computer Science, Coordinators, Dr. D. Suresh, who is live wire for this program. He was regularly talking to me for this about this, and Mr. N. Rajesh Pandian, and my dear students of PSNA College of Engineering and Technology. Once again, I am very happy. Good morning to everyone. We, Computer Science of India, Krishnapalli chapter is very much happy to associate with the PSNA College of Engineering and Technology for spreading and propagating and sharing the emerging technologies in computer science, IT, to the students. We are here to support all your technical activities. In today's context, without data science, machine learning, deep learning, and artificial intelligence, we cannot imagine the today's and tomorrow's world. For example, the autonomous car, as Madam told, the industry for emerging technologies. India is going to become a big production hub in near future, and we are only 3% of in world production stage. We have to move it to where China is 28%. We have to move it to at least 10%. We will make it threefold. With this brief this thing, I will introduce our chief guest of today, Mr. Boghites Mishra. Today we have our eminent resource person, Engineer Boghites Mishra, co-founder, advisor, GPS, and Expert Life Private Limited, Technology Evangelist, New Delhi. Our resource person, Engineer Boghites Mishra, is with 26 plus years track record of successfully enabling business growth by leveraging latest technologies, and have worked with various MNCs as like Digital Global SAP, Compact Computer Corporation, Hewlett Packard USA, Simpa Networks, Motherson Sumi Infotech, and Designs Limited, and Indian Railways. Here he has achieved miles, and he has been a winner of IT Next 100 Future CIOs, Star CIO of the year 2019, CIO 500, Smart Innovator Award 2019, Eminent CIOs of India 2019, Cyber Sentinel Award CIO 200, Change Agent 2018. He provides thought leadership on all technology-oriented business areas, Internet of Things, business intelligence, mobility, cloud and business applications, expertise in data science for business analytics, techniques in sales, marketing, customer and risk management using SPSS or Python, and techniques like factor analysis, correlation, logistics, regression, clustering, random forest, and machine learning. He has developed a coherent BI technology strategy at Simpa Networks that has enabled 100x growth capability in the business using mobility, Internet of Things, IoT, big data, and business intelligence. He has also managed the development of tablets-based e-learning application for Samsung Smart Learning, India's first e-learning e-commerce store, and project management training and PMO setup consultancy services. He has managed the complete technology roadmap for Tigers Control Connect Travel Systems and Solutions Limited, and managed his domestic ADM business unit with Motherson Sumi Infotech, the Infotech and Designs Limited Mind, that is a part of Samvartana Motherson Group, India, and SWS Japan. He has led the HP's e-commerce applications development and application management, and transformed the organization from a 100% on-site model to 80-20 offshore on-site model, resulted in 60% operational cost savings. He has also developed the biggest railway reservation booking engineering concert for Indian Railways and provided technical consultancy for next generation online e-ticketing, railway reservation system and developed by CRIS and IRCTC. Mr. Boghit is a certified project management professional PMP for PMI USA since 2002 until 2015 and currently active member of CIOs of India's InfoSec Foundation of India. He has reached miles of achievements and here to help students reach their peak of Everest. We are grateful to you for your presence and are awaiting to hear from you. So, with the eminent person is with us, so let us harvest the knowledge from him. Thank you, sir. Please, sir. Please.
Thank you, sir. So, do I have 1 hour for the presentation? And is it okay if I?
Yes, sir. It's okay, sir. You can go on.
Right. So I'll just put the presentation in a full screen mode. Yeah. Sir, are you able to see the full presentation?
No, it's not full, sir. It's only PowerPoint mode only. You have to make it full.
You're able to see now?
No, sir. No, sir. Still, no. It's not full screen. It's only PPT mode only.
Sir, I think you have shared the window, not the whole screen. Can you please share it again?
Okay. Okay, give me a second.
Yeah, sir, please.
Now it's full screen, sir. Now it's full screen. Thank you, sir.
Okay, right. So, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving, Selvaraj sir. Thank you for giving me this opportunity and to share my knowledge on data science and machine learning. And because I have been into the industry for last 25, 26 years, so I have implemented data science and machine learning in various capacities. So I'll be talking about the data science and machine learning and some of the concepts of data science and also some of the use cases, how it can be used. And for the startups, I'm sure you guys are, all the students are into the third year and next year they would be going into their final year and then into the industry after that. So those who are planning to start a new business or some entrepreneurship or some new company, they can think of data science as their stream. Okay, so a brief about what Dr. Selvaraj has already said. I'm also a guest faculty with IIT Delhi and IIM Lucknow on the data science, sharing my knowledge on data science and machine learning. So I'll start with this concept of how the Gartner talks about the technology and their hype cycle. So the recent hype cycle that Gartner has come up. So if you see that this hype cycle primarily talks about all those technologies which are going up into this mountain top, which means that these are the technologies which everybody is talking about. And in next 2 years time, most of the technologies would be centered around these technologies like adaptive machine learning, right? Generative adversarial network, BMI, brain machine interface, right? Composite AI, generative AI. And at the top, if you see, you will see a social distancing technologies like the technology which you are using in your Arogya Setu app. So those are all social distancing technologies, and they are at the peak of this hype cycle. So just to tell you that these are some of the data science related hypes that people are talking about. One is the health passport, which means that your Arogya Setu app, yes, we are privileged to have the first application from Government of India talking about the health as a health passport. So within your Arogya Setu, you can have all your COVID vaccination details, and accordingly you get a certification that you are certified and you can move freely into the public area, right? So these are the mobile apps that indicate the relative level of infection risk a person is and whether they can gain access to the building, supermarket, restaurant, public places. So example is your Arogya Setu app. So this is your health passport and people are talking about it. Next is your embedded AI. When we talk about the artificial intelligence, now the concept of embedded, so it is packaged in some, so like I would say, even the Intel's new chip that is coming out has an embedded AI in it. So it has the potential to increase the accuracy, insight, and intelligence gained from current and next generation sensors. So all the data from different sensors, let's say Internet of Things, right? So I'll talk about Internet of Things in detail. So all these sensors data get into one common area, or these are embedded AIs where a lot of processing happens at the first level. So instead of sending all the data at the central servers, now the concept is that all these intermediate servers, which are these embedded AI machines, they process a lot of data and send only the relevant knowledge and intelligence to the central servers. So that's the concept of embedded AI. Next is your responsible AI. So responsible, why that concept of responsible? Because there are lots of fake news generated. So then there is a concept to identify whether it is a fake news and to identify the biases of these news. So the purpose is to assist the business in making more ethical, balanced business decisions by attempting to reduce the biases. So it is primarily identify those fake news. And why this is required? Because there is a generative AI. So what is generative AI? So these are the technologies which is most commonly used for creating deep fake videos and digital content. So these fake news are generated using generative AI. And because there is a this fake news and all, so you need a responsible AI, similar to how viruses and antivirus works. Similarly, you have a generative AI and a responsible AI. Next is your AI augmented development. So nowadays, many of the e-commerce sites you would have seen that they come up with this augmented views. So how Google will look on you, right? How a dress would look on you. So it takes your virtual augmented images and it superimposes that dress. So its purpose is to improve the cycle time of an application and DevOps. So this is the use of that augmented reality, right? But that now the AI has come into development also, which means that one of the developer would be a AI bot. So when you are developing a piece of software, right? So then that bot will always keep monitoring on the development methodologies, and it will guide you the best practices. It will create a framework of how you want to. So from a pseudo code, it can generate a pseudo code as well. So and it will continuously guide you in the best practices and optimize the code. So AI as an augmented development is another phase of new technologies which is emerging. So even Gartner says that by 2022, 40%, at least 40% of the new application development projects will have AI as one of the co-developers of the team. So if it's a team of 10-15 people working on a software development, so one of the tool will also be a AI. So think about it. So AI will help you in your code development. So even 10% of the new vehicles will have autonomous driving. So your HOD ma'am was talking about the autonomous driving capabilities and vehicles. So think about that 10% of the new vehicles would have the autonomous capabilities. So compared to 1% recently. So it is going to have multifold increase in the autonomous vehicle. So it all uses the data science and machine learning and artificial intelligence. So by 2030, blockchain will create 3.1 trillion in business values. So these are some of the trigger points for you guys to focus on one of these verticals, right? So I'll be giving you a lot of thought-provoking concepts, and then you have to pick up one area and then keep develop. So you are into third year of your BTech, right? So which means that keep thinking about which area you are interested in, and then keep developing certain concepts and a prototype. And by the year you complete your BTech, you will have a prototype and a concept ready. So maybe the moment you are completing your BTech, you are ready for one startup, right? So by 2028, the storage, computing, and advanced AI analytics technologies will expand the capabilities of the edge devices. What are these edge devices? So I was talking about that not all the data has to go into the central servers. So these edge devices, which are very near to the sensors. So sensors will collect data. It will send the data to the edge device. So edge device will have lot of AI and analytics now. As I was talking about that, Intel is coming up with a embedded chip which will have AI already part of it. So a lot of computing can be done at the chip level itself. So no, lot of processing doesn't need to go into the application part. The chip itself can do a lot of transaction processing. Similarly, 100 million consumers will shop in augmented reality. So how the goggle will look on you, right? How a particular dress suits you, or how does a sofa fit into your room. So all these augmented reality based, how a particular color will change the look out of a room. So those are how the uses of augmented reality, and a lot of 100 million users will shop using the augmented reality. So even 50% of the people collaborating in industry. So again, industry 4.0 is again a big thing now. So all these CNC machines, big manufacturing companies, they have started using industry 4.0, which means that machine to machine communication can happen. Which means that if one of the particular machine goes down, the other machine knows that nearby machine is going down, or it has there is a fault in it. So all that workload can be distributed automatically with different CNC machines, or maybe robots and all that. So those virtual assistants are intelligent agents which can transact in real, and based on the industry 4.0 ecosystem, your surrounding with people and AI can be a more productive tool. So when we talk about some of the disruptive technologies, I have listed these 10 disruptive, which is like drones, right? Drones, they have a lot of use cases are available for drones. Blockchain, so all secured, it's a more secured transaction framework, and nobody can hack into your transaction. They cannot change your transaction details. So banks have already started using blockchain for the KYC purpose. Your KYC documents are all encoded as part of a blockchain, and they are linked to your transaction ID and further on, so that these are all authenticated, confirmed documents. Nobody can change them. In case some changes are happening, so it replicates with multiple servers and takes the poll from different servers. If any of the data is mismatched, so it will start reflecting that your transaction has been manipulated. So it will then take the maximum of the data, whichever is the maximum, it will pull out that this is the original data, right? So that way blockchain is a very secure technology. Big data concept, right? So it's again a buzzword, everybody's talking about it, and people have already started using the big data concept. So because these IoT sensors, a lot of data is being pulled into the central data servers, so it is collecting huge amount of data at the central servers, which is creating a dearth of data at the back end. Millions and millions of transactions. Whatever you transact from your e-commerce, if you're traveling, so all your data is being from Google, it is being sent to the central servers, right? So a lot of big data is being collected. I'll talk about big data in detail. Augmented reality, right? Virtual reality, 3D printing. Now, more than that, 3D printing, 4D printing is also the concept has been in use now. 3D is like you design a particular 3D image on a CAD/CAM software, and you have a printer. It has a very a material which will print accordingly, and then it creates a 3D image, the prototype model. So it is best used in the prototyping models. how it will look like. So you just create a 3D. Now the concept is 4D, which means that the image can also reshape itself based on the pressure. So based on different pressure, atmosphere, and everything, it can change accordingly. So pipes, think about it. If there is a lot of pressure, it will expand. If there is less pressure, it will collapse. So that way, 4D printing is also in use now. AI. So I'll be talking more in details. Robotics, Internet of Things, genetics. A lot of technology is being developed, and people are using artificial intelligence. So even this during COVID, a lot of vaccination, drug discoveries happened within a year's time. All that has happened using the data science and machine learning. So it has collaborated with lots of data from different sources. A lot of tests have been done. So which it takes 5-6 years. Now it has been done within a year's time. How this was achieved? All using data science and machine learning. So Internet of Things is primarily those small sensor-based devices which collect the data, and then now even with communication protocols available, you can transmit that data to the central servers, right? So if your fridge, whether it is still open, what temperature control, everything can be now monitored, and that data. So if you have lesser household products in that, milk is less, so it can even order milk from your fridge itself, which means that it is all sensor based. So all that sensor is collected into the central controller, and it is taking, there is a AI that, okay, fine, if it is less than 1 liter, I'll order another 2 liters or so. So that way it is connected to your payment gateway and all that, so it can order automatically for an additional 2 liters of milk. So that way these sensors are so what is the total concept? These are things are those Internet of Things. So those sensors, it can be used in medical devices, right? Manufacturing, transportation. This COVID vaccine was transported using these sensor-based or frozen atmosphere. So it has lots of sensors. Accordingly, these were all centrally monitored. If that temperature goes above a particular limit, those vaccines may be they are not suitable for use. So it is continuously monitored throughout the life cycle of these vaccinations, right? These vaccines. So anywhere if temperature increases, so that lot can be trashed or not used, right? Hello, yeah. Oh, yes. So connectivity. So connectivity is those data which is being sent to the central servers, and these are the data which sends at the backend. So these are the and then when you have billions and billions of transactions at the backend, what to do? You need a lot of analytical tools to identify and take a informed decision. So there the data science and machine learning and analytics is used. So quickly, if we talk about these IoTs, some of the facts are that these are all those connected devices which flood every company across the industry. 7.1 trillion projected market revenue. So think about it. It's a big volume for anybody to start a business. So this is a complete ecosystem of connected devices. So starting from IoT, which is Internet of Things. So these are small sensors which connect data, and it is sending data to the backend servers, which is the big data. The network, devices, all these are centrally sent to the big data concept, and where a lot of analytical tools are run to identify your business knowledge. So when you run machine learning algorithm on those big data, you come out with those meaningful information, and which can be used by businesses to take a corrective decision based on what trends, what data is you're getting. So this is a roadmap to business nirvana, we call it. So the full concept is like how from these sensor-based devices, cameras, smart card, your e-commerce sensor-based medical equipments, right? Vision systems. So all that data is being captured through and then sent to the nearest machine gateway using NFC, Bluetooth, Zigbee, WLAN, or something, right? Even SIM cards are available, so 2G, 3G, and even satellite-based transactions can be done, or fixed internet. And then through this gateway, it is sent to the central servers. So when it reaches the central server, you can do a lot of event processing, data management, and then big data analytics. You can integrate the data with different ERPs and some other spatial data, GIS data. So whatever, it can capture latitude, longitude from your device, and then you can display where you are at any point of time, right? And then based on the data captured, you can then run your machine learning algorithm, and which can be useful for your CRMs, your service management systems, your billing systems, any of the external devices systems, or you can create an industry solution out of it. So we have seen that enormous amount of data is being collected. So let's say for the cyber security, e-commerce data, traffic patterns data, right? Social networking data, Twitter, Facebooks, they collect a lot of data. Sensor networks and computational simulations also generate a lot of data. So what is the new mantra? Mantra says that gather whatever data you can, whenever and wherever possible, which means that data is king now. And what is the expectation? The gathered data will have value either for the purpose of it is collected for some purpose, or for a purpose not envisaged at that point of time. So for future reference also, data is being collected. So why Facebook and Twitters are the king now? Just because they have all the data from all the users, and they can create sentiment analysis, what kind of feeling is going on, community-based sentiments they can create, right? And they can even bias your views. So that way they have become very prominent with the use of social data. So when we talk about big data, these are three features of big data, which is like volume. So when we talk about volume, it can handle terabytes of records, right? Can handle transactions of data, tables, files. So volume is tremendous. Terabytes, petabytes of data can be handled. Second feature of big data is it's a velocity, the rate at which the data is being collected at the backend. Earlier, it was all database, relational database driven. So if you do one transaction, the data gets stored in 2 or 3 tables. But now, nowadays, live streaming is happening. So all those videos are getting stored at the backend. You like a particular image, right, or of your friend. So those likes are being saved in a, or you are working on a PDF or a Word document, and those. So it has structured data as well. It has unstructured data, right? Semi-structured kind of a data. So big data has these three features: volume, velocity, and variety, right? So a lot of use cases has come up for big data analytics. So be it healthcare, so integrated and smart patient care systems. So a lot of sensor-based machines can be put on your body, and then a lot of data can be captured. Accordingly, then the doctors can take an informed decision. Homeland security. So cameras are continuously watching you, and their face identification can be done, and it can identify whether a particular face is part of a criminal's record or not. Accordingly, it can alert the security agencies. Traffic control can be done by sensor based. So big data analytics, so which area a lot of traffic is moving as of now. So even Google Maps plays a critical role in the traffic management. In manufacturing, so these intelligent interconnected devices, CNC machines, right, robots, CNC machines, they all can communicate with each other, and a lot of analytics can run on top of the data being collected. Log analysis, this is a very interesting field. So nowadays, a lot of data centers have come in. They have lots of servers. Your application is hosted somewhere. So these people who are managing and monitoring all these servers, do they really monitor 100% of the time? No. Then there are logs being created from the data, these servers. So there are now tools available which can continuously monitor those logs and identify whether a hard disk is going to fail, right, or a memory is going to crash. Some symptoms it starts capturing, and based on those symptoms it can alert the administrator of those data centers that this particular machine will go off, let's say in 24 hours or so. So accordingly then they can take a corrective action well before the server crashes. So these are good use cases of the big data analytics. Finance and banking, anyway, a lot of banking channels have started using analytics. Retail and multi-channel sales, telecom, right? Trading analytics, search improvement in the search quality is all due to the big data analytics. So these wire data mining, we know that a lot of data is being collected at the end. So what is the challenge? Google's and Facebook's and Amazon's and Yahoo's, they all have big amount of data at the back end. So now people have started using some of the analytical tools to, you cannot go into millions and millions of records. So you just need the trends of those. What is the trend? What people are talking about? Which particular product is trending, right? So these all come from the data science. So the point is that computers have become cheaper, and the communication has become very easy from the IoT devices. That's the strongest point of the big data. So we know that data is being collected enormous speed, right? And data mining helps the scientists in automating the analysis of massive data sets and then confirming their hypothesis. In the research, that hypothesis, you create a formulation and then you validate that with the data. So surface temperature change, it can be, so all that big data across the globe can be superimposed over years, and then you can see the trend, which particular region of the globe is deforestation happening and all that. So surface temperatures can be monitored. So it gives a great opportunity for the society to solve these issues. So improving the healthcare and reducing the cost, predicting the climate change, finding alternative source of energy, and improving the agriculture production. Sir, am I audible and clear to everyone, sir?
Sir, audible, sir.
Right.
Audible, sir.
You're audible, sir.
Sure, thank you. So because in between we need to understand that everybody is active.
No problem, sir. Active, sir.
Great. So now we'll talk about the definition of data science and data mining. So data mining is primarily the extraction of your knowledge from large volume of data that are both structured and unstructured. So data mining is extraction of knowledge from data, structured and unstructured data. Data mining can also be said as a potential solution to big problem facing many of the firms, like overabundance of data, right? And dearth of staff. So staff is less, technology is lesser, right? But data is very massively available. So you need data science and machine learning tools to get a solution. So this is just because there was a problem. So this is a solution. It is a solution of a big data problem. Alternative names could be like knowledge discovery in databases, knowledge extraction, data pattern analysis. So these are some of the different terms that people use. And AI refers to the ability of machines to perform cognitive tasks, thinking process, solving decision making. So these could be some of the application areas of data science. In science, we can use it in astronomy, bioinformatics, drug discovery. As I said, COVID-related drug discovery was done within a year's time, which generally takes 4 to 5 years, right? So this has all been done using the machine learning and big data analytics. In business, you can use it for CRM, customer relationship management, right? Fraud detection. So fraud detection could be like, I'll talk about one of the use cases in fraud detection. So e-commerce, what people are more likely to purchase. And in case if you have purchased some particular product, what you are likely to purchase in 3 months time or 6 months time. So that comes from the pattern analysis. Manufacturing, sports, lot of use cases are available. A lot of wristbands, which are primarily your sensor based, right? So it captures your pulse rate, your sweating, how much you have run. So it has a GPS also. So when, as part of FIFA 2018, so some of the countries have started using the lot of sensor based bands, and it can give the managers of those teams a good ability on a dashboard to see which particular player is getting fatigued, whose pulse rate is quite high, right? That way they can identify the fatigueness and the exhaustiveness of a particular player, and they can then quickly replace that player. So a lot of use cases are available on the web, search engine, advertising, text mining. So I'll talk about some of these in the later part of the presentation. So it's a multidisciplinary, which means that you'll be using pattern recognition. You also would need statistical knowledge, visualization tools, high performance computing, because a lot of big data analytics runs on high computing servers. So you need to understand how a multi-threaded environment will work, how a parallel computing will work, database technologies, right? Algorithms, database technologies are like NoSQL, big data concept, algorithms to write those algorithms to create your data, and machine learning tools, applications, machine learning, pattern recognition. So these all make up the complete data mining and machine learning. So now we talk about the machine learning types. So these can be broadly grouped into supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. So what are these? Supervised learning is primarily in a data you give certain guidelines. Let's say take an example that we have to set a machine or a robot has to identify and segregate from a set of fruits. It has to segregate apples, mangoes, and bananas, and all that, right? So what is, you have to give this robot a guidance that this is how an apple would look like, right? And if it is long, yellow, a particular shape, it is a banana or an apple or a mango kind of, right? And then when machine learning picks up another fruit, it identifies from the characteristics which you have defined. So based on that, it identifies that this is an apple or a banana. Accordingly, it segregates that. So this is what is you are guiding a basic steps, and then it does based on that knowledge, it is segregating. Correct. So that's how the supervised learning. So type of these examples could be your regression. So that means you have x-axis, you have y-axis, and you do a regression. So it identifies that how would the sales look like in March 2022. So it has till September end, it has all the data, right? Sales has been in a particular. So how, based on that data, it can identify and do a regression analysis and find out like how your sales would be by end of the year. So so you are guiding the system to some extent and then predicting it. Logistic regression, classifications would mean that based on certain criteria, you are doing a classification. You are clustering that data into multiple of them. Classifiers, decision trees, support vector mechanisms. So these are some of the examples of supervised learning. Unsupervised is like based on the characteristics, whatever it identifies, it starts populating and grouping that data into different clusters. So it will pick up one fruit and it will identify, if it is first time, then it will say, okay, fine, this is the first time, so I'll group it in group 1. And whenever next apple or banana comes, it will identify that I already have those characteristics available, so accordingly I'll place it in a banana. If a new fruit comes, it identifies it is not there, it will create a new group. So this is what is unsupervised learning. So you don't give any inputs to the system. Based on the data and characteristics of the data, it is trying to identify the characteristics by itself and then classifying those data. So clustering is one example. So you just give the data, and then like if you have massive amount of CRM data, all your customer data, you want to group that data according to certain trends, right? So it will classify all that data with respect to, let's say, a geography based customers, or some people who like a particular taste, so accordingly it will group that kind of a people. So it does clustering based on its own symptoms, right? Next could be association rules. So you have market basket, you have shops available. So how they place their products is like, they do all your transactions. If you are purchasing a product A, you are likely to purchase product B as well. That comes from your purchasing behavior. Many of the people have purchased A and then they have purchased B also. So there's an association between A and B. So what they'll do, they'll place A and B together so that their sales increases. So when you tend to buy a product X, you also tend to buy product Y, which is called this association. And that also is a part of unsupervised learning. So these are examples of classification, clustering, right? Deviation detection, estimation, predicting a particular value. So these are part of some of the machine learning algorithms. And there is also a concept called semi-supervised. What is that? When you get those groups, machine has done part of grouping, clustering, and then if you say that fine, this is called apple, this by your knowledge now, when it has already classified, you have grouped them and said a name, say apple or a banana or a mango or some different fruits, which means now you have given knowledge after it has done a clustering and classification. So now whenever next fruit will come, it will start saying that this is banana, apple or mango. So this, when you give certain information after it has done certain level of machine learning, is called a semi-supervised. So all these data mining tasks can be clustered with classification, anomaly detection, association rules, or clustering. So these are major 4 groupings of machine learning algorithms. Clustering, like you group the data in different clusters, and accordingly then you can use that cluster to sell. So you don't have to sell the product to everybody, right? Your product will go into let's say students who are 18 years and around, who have a taste of a particular taste. So which means that you are now target marketing, and the target marketing is done using the clustering of data, and then you are picking up one of the clusters which is best suited for your product. So now people don't send out all the messages to everybody for your new product. So it is a very targeted marketing that they do. In the classification and predicting model, all your credit card approval happens through this predictive modeling. So if you have a bank account, if you have no defaults, right, and your monthly salary is, let's say, 20,000 and above, so accordingly then you can get a loan of 5 lakhs or something, right? And if you are missing any of these on this tree structure, your credit, if your credit worthiness is not good, right, your age is not within the it is for approval process, so it will reject your credit card validation or your bank loan approval process. So these are the classification and your predictive models. Association rules are those which I said. If you are like, let's say, if you are asked to purchase milk and Pampers, right? So you tend to purchase beer also, let's say, if that is the symptom, or that's the association rule that comes off from your data. So that data is dynamic. Every now and then you have to run your algorithm, association rule algorithm, to find out now what is the people talking about, how they are purchasing the products. So if milk and Pampers is purchased together, there is a most likelihood that you purchase beer also. So that now people have these market basket companies, what they have done, they have also put beer next to your milk and Pampers, right? So that their sale of beer will also increase, and they start giving discounts on the second product. So if they know that you're likely to purchase the second product also, because that's the data talks about, then they can start giving, if you buy this, the additional product is on a 50% discount, let's say. Because you are already aware that it is most likely that people are going to purchase, why not start cross-selling that other product that way? Or if you purchase this and this, you are likely to then the third product is only at the 10% cost. So that's how you increase your sales. Anomaly detection is about your the data pattern and any of the data which is outside that pattern. Let's say all of a sudden, I'm sure you would have seen you getting an alert that have you logged in from some other country. It gives you an alert. If no, then change your if no, then change your password. Somebody has tried to hack it into. So that means the login has happened from some other country, some other IP. So system understands that your logging pattern is from a particular country, let's say, or a particular region. All of a sudden, if that IP changes to some other country, so it's a deviation. It is an anomaly. So system understands that this is an anomaly, and it picks up that anomaly and tries to guide you that is that you who is trying to log in from, let's say, Singapore or Hong Kong or a different country, because your pattern says that you are logging in from Chennai area, let's say. Okay, so which means that now if all of a sudden logging happens from some other country, it will alert you. Or let's say if you are doing a transaction worth of 10,000 every month from your credit cards, and all of a sudden you do 1 lakh of transaction value of transaction. So your the system at the back end of these banks, it sends them an alert that a deviation has happened. So immediately a call will come to you. Is that you who is doing a 1 lakh transaction? Right? You would have experienced this. But if you are already doing a 1 lakh value of transaction, it will not, another 1 lakh transaction, it will not alert you because it understands the pattern. And if there is any variation in that, then there is an anomaly. And that's how the machine learning algorithm identifies those anomalies. Correct? Let me just move to the next page. Okay. So this was about the classification I talked about. How a credit card worthiness would be calculated. Classification can also be used in the medical science. Like some of the guys, new starters, what they've done, they scan all these X-rays of different people, and from the chest X-ray, they are able to identify those malign cells, which means that it sees all the pattern, and from that behavior, it can identify whether you have COVID or a particular disease or not. So just based on your chest X-ray, you just upload. So they have created machine learning algorithm. I know a lot of startups who are doing this, and what they've done, they have scanned more than 10 lakh of chest X-rays and run their machine learning algorithm on top of it to identify what are the symptoms for, let's say, a particular disease. Let's say COVID only, right? So if you upload your chest X-ray onto that algorithm, it can identify from that algorithm and make a analysis on those classifications that you have a malign cell, and it is likely that you may have COVID also or a particular disease. So medical science is using a lot of classification tools. I said fraud detection. So the moment a credit card transaction happens beyond a particular limit, so it understands your pattern, and a fraudulent transaction can be identified. Similarly, it can be used by the telephone operators. Like if you start, if you're not satisfied with the telephone company, so they come to know about it. How? You may delay your payment cycle, right? You may be or you will call their customer cell very regularly. So if they see all these patterns, they see that this particular customer, from that normal flow, if one of the customer is not happy, so those symptoms will tell that this customer is likely to change the service provider. So if they get to know this, they'll start sharing some goodies to you. Sir, if you are a loyal customer, we give you 100 SMS free this month, right? So that way they create your loyalty programs based on the data science techniques. Next is your clustering. So finding a group of objects within different set of data is called the clustering. So the concept is that all these intra-cluster distances are minimized. So within a cluster, the data between all these data points are minimized, and between those two clusters, the inter-cluster distance is maximized. That's the two concept on which the clustering algorithm works. So it's an unsupervised learning. Primarily, you don't give inputs to the data. You just give the data, and then it does a clustering based on these two criteria. One is maximizing the intra-class similarity and minimizing the inter-class similarity. Okay. So there are two algorithms which are very popular. One is called k-mean clustering, and another is called hierarchical clustering. What happens in k-mean clustering is, let's say, if you want to create from a data set of, let's say, 10,000 data points, you want to create 5 clusters, let's say. So when you have to create 5 clusters, so all that 5 centroids, these are called centroids. So 5 centroids are placed at random locations, and then it starts calculating those two aspects, the average distance between all the data points and those data points around which that centroid is resident. So it will calculate the then it will calculate the center of that mean of those data points. If that mean is away from that centroid, in the next iteration, it will make that center as the next iteration of centroid, right? So now that centroid had moved from the original position to the new mean value. So in next iteration, it will again calculate the mean of the remaining points, and then if that mean is certain distance away, so it will, in the next iteration, that mean becomes the centroid. So that way, in multiple iterations, the centroid and the center of, or the mean of that data points doesn't move. So that becomes the center of that cluster. Got it? So it is assumed that into 8 or 9 iterations, the centroid and center becomes one, and then that set of data becomes one of the cluster, and that's how 5 clusters can be created from a data set of, let's say, 10,000. Okay. So that algorithm is called k-mean clustering. Next is the hierarchical clustering. So it's a more of a set, those nested sets you would have learned in your mathematics. So it is a concept of nested sets. It's a subset of one, another superset of another cluster, right? So these, let's say, if we take this as an example, so the outside contains all the data points. This inner circle will contain 1, 4, 2, 2, and 5 points, right? So this can become one cluster, and 5 and 2 is another cluster within cluster, bigger cluster. So it starts with, so every single point is a cluster, right, in itself. So your target is to merge nearest points. So let's say this tree structure is called a dendrogram. So this same nested cluster is created in a dendrogram. And now let's say if you have to create 2 clusters, so just put a horizontal line at the top, just below the top horizontal line, which means that 3, 6, and 4 becomes one cluster because of this line being created here, and all these points from the other side, 1, 2, and 5 becomes another cluster. So you have created 2 clusters of the data. Let's say if you have to create 4 clusters, so from point 1, 5, you create a horizontal line. So you get one cluster which is 3 and 6. Another cluster with a distinct features is a 4. The third cluster is 0.1, and the fourth cluster is 2 and 5. So you have created 4 clusters. So that way, this is a concept of hierarchical clustering. So many use cases are available. Market segmentation. So you are clustering the data with respect to your marketing behavior. The association rule, I said, when you tend to purchase diaper and milk, you are likely to purchase beer. It comes from the transaction details that are there. So you collect all the transaction details, trying to find out which are those combination of products which are being sold, and what is the next product which is likely to be purchased. So that way you create a dependency diagram rules. Like if you purchase product A and B together, you are likely to purchase product C as well. So this is what is the rule mining, rule discovery from the data. And accordingly, people club all those products together. So market basket is one of the application where rules are used for sales promotion, shelf management, and the inventory manage. What products is selling. So when product A is being sold, likelihood that product B is also sold. So you should have product B in the inventory. So that way you keep managing your inventory management. So it can be as complex as finding a cancer patient from the data set. So if you have your data collected from different sources, and accordingly from your medical or your all those chest X-rays and different genetical outputs, you can calculate the cancer data set and which particular area, what kind of data set, what kind of cancer you have. So it can all be done using the association rules. So this outlier, we talked about that it is primarily a noise, an exception from the standard data. And even so, those antivirus identifies that if there is a threat or a new pattern of data input is there, so it will identify. If you have a set pattern and something different is coming, it can identify that as a virus, and antivirus can take a corrective action. So antivirus and virus works on the outlier concept. So there could be different type of outliers: credit card fraud detection, as I said, telecom fraud detection. So any kind of a fraud can be detected using the outlier concept. So outliers could be a global outlier, a context driven. So if the weather, let's say in Chennai, if the weather goes lesser than 10 degrees, it becomes very cold. So it's a contextual outlier, which means that in Chennai doesn't go lesser than 10 degrees anyway, right? So it becomes one of the outlier. But if it is in Himalayas, so 10 degrees is very normal. So it will not show 10 degrees as an outlier. So with respect to context in that area, the outliers are also detected. Global outliers are with respect to the complete data set. Collective outliers, so which means that intrusion detection is a collective outlier. So similar kind of intrusion happening, number of computer attacks or denial of services, right? If those are there, then these are all collective outliers. Then another method is called regression. Regression is like predicting. So if you would have seen in your mathematics that y is equal to mx plus c, right? M is the slope of that tangent of that line. So based on that, if you have a value of x, you can predict the value of y. Right. So if you have a set of data plotted on x and y, let's say x is a month, y is the sales of that particular month. So December time frame, you have a particular sales, right? October, you have a particular sales. So if it is increasing, so it will calculate a slope of that tangent, best fit regression line. And then based on that, it will identify that in March or let's say end of the year, what would be the sales. So this is what is based on a dependent variable. So this is the independent variable, the variable which is used to predict. So x is used to predict, and y is a dependent variable which is you are predicting. The variable which we want to predict, the sales you are predicting, which is a dependent variable. The month is your independent variable. So based on that, so you create a dependent variable and independent variable lines, and you create a regression coefficient. And this is calculated based on, so let's say your data is looking like this, right? So which means that now you run your model and you calculate a best fit line, your regression line, where you have a particular slope, and then you have an independent variable x and a dependent variable y, right? So based on x, you can predict y now. There would be certain error also. So you can calculate, there are algorithms available to calculate the percentage of error. Next comes a logistic regression. Logistic regression, wherever the data is used in the form of whether it will be done or not done, whether it's zero or false, true or false. You will be approved of a credit or not. Loan will be sanctioned or not. Right? If those are the conditions, then you use a sigmoidal function on the data, and then based on that sigmoidal function, these are all mathematics available. You can learn something about it. So instead of regression line, now you are a parabolic sigmoidal function you are using, and any data below that sigmoid is 0, above that is 1. So that so if your data is, let's say, here in this bottom, but you are approved of a credit card, even though you may not have that credit worthiness, but not that much of a salary, but still you are approved of a credit. Why? Because you are above a credit worthiness line, which is a logistic regression. Right? So major issues also are there in the data mining for startups, like data knowledge in multi-dimensional space. Data mining is an interdisciplinary. So if you start data mining, think about that it's a interdisciplinary effort. So you have to collaborate with statistical guys, your business knowledge guys, your sales people, right? Your technology people who understands the algorithms, right? Handling noise. So you'll have massive amount of data. You cannot take a decision based on that data itself. So you have to first clean that data. So uncertainty, incompleteness of data, these are the issues which are data mining people are facing. So there are other issues which user interaction. It's a very interactive mining, incorporate and background knowledge. So the effectiveness and scalability is an issue, right? Parallel computing, diversity of data types. So you need to understand handling of complex data types, data mining, and so it may have social impacts also. If you are using a data mining concept, it can affect social aspects. So it can give you a loss of privacy. Privacy prevention is also one of the challenges in data mining concept. So when I said that these are supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and the third one was the reinforcement learning. In supervised, we have already seen regression and classification, and these are other algorithms you can go through. In unsupervised, it is clustering and dimension reduction. And in the machine learning, it is reinforcement learning. Reinforcement is primarily used for robotics. So robots are given a task. So target is given, and now you have one step to take, left, right, forward. So it runs on reward and penalty concept. If you are in the right direction, it gives you a reward. So you can take a corrective action. If it is on the wrong direction, you get a penalty. So you can still take a corrective action. So based on, you collect your rewards and penalties, accordingly you reach the target. And so this is what is reinforcement learning. So these are various algorithms on machine learning of supervised and unsupervised. So now people ask me, which are those top 10 algorithms that everybody is talking about? So regression, clustering, decision tree, right? And visualization tools, K nearest neighbor method, principal component analysis to identify which all variables are important, statistics, random forest. And so these are some of the algorithms that in the text mining, data time series, weather forecasting is all done using the time series method. And people ask me, what are those skills which are required to be a data scientist, right? So it is your business knowledge, so which is your business skills, your IT and technology or machine learning algorithms knowledge, and the data science, which is use of these data science, analysis of this data science. Data comes out in a particular format, right? So you need to understand what is the meaning of that data. When it comes to the skill one, which is more of the statistics, probability, hypothesis testing, right? And multivariate analysis. This is what is data science. Second is your computer knowledge. So algorithm, R, Python, all these data, machine learning algorithms. And third is that data output. You do a correlation, modeling, which model will work best in this case. So you need to understand your business knowledge, you need to understand IT and the data science. These are the major skills required for being a data science. So popular data science tools are like Python. Most of the people use Python and R, right, for data science. Amazon machine learning. Now these are all hosted data centers where your algorithms are available. MATLAB, right? Tableau, Hadoop, Apache, Spark, SaaS based. It's a product, costly. SPSS, TensorFlow. So if you talk about those top 5-10 tools, you should focus on them and try to learn them. So building a data science or data mining system is also a very structured process. You identify the problem, then you prepare the data, right? Collect the data from different sources, and then transform the data into meaningful information, right? And validate that data into different samples. So if you have a data set, 80% is used to generate your model, and from the same random data, that remaining 20%, you try to implement and validate your model that it works with the test data also. And if there is some changes required, you fine tune that data and the model and rerun that process again. Validate the model on different samples, fine tune the model, and move it to production. That's how the machine learning life cycle is. So identify the problem, you prepare the data, run a particular algorithm, train on that data and tune it. If you are comfortable, deploy it, and then continue to monitor it, right? If some changes are there, go back and train the model again, deploy and manage. So that's how it's a iterative cycle. So when we say that there are different flavors of data science, when we say what is descriptive analytics, so it is all historical data, what has happened. So with respect to the difficulty of coding, as a programmer, you put in more difficulty, you handle more difficulty, the value you get is better. So if you increase the difficulty, so why did it happen? What are those symptoms? So this is called diagnostic analytics. This diagnostic. So you use data and use certain machine intelligence, business intelligence, to find out the if you are purely using the data, right? What are the top 5 customers, right? All that. What is the best sales throughout the year? Which sales guy has done the best? So these are all descriptive analytics. You are just using what has happened, kind of, right? And then when you use machine learning on top of it, it says, why did it happen? From the historical data, you are trying to do a diagnostic analytics. And when you start using the forecasting mechanism, right? So it's a difficulty level you are increasing, the insight also increases, which is called predictive analytics. What will happen? Sales of March 2022. So what will happen? That's predictive analytics. And when you start planning for that, how can we make it happen? What are those factors which will give me a target? If I want to make 5 trillion economy, right? So what are those factors which I need to touch upon? So this is what is prescriptive. It is the highest level of analytics, where you use data, your business intelligence, the forecasting techniques to use the prescriptive analytics, right? So this is a Gartner's analytical framework. So I'll quickly jump over to some of the use cases. Guys, go through this Niti Aayog's draft national strategy on artificial intelligence. Government of India has come up with a national strategy on artificial intelligence, which means that this Niti Aayog paper talks about where Government of India would be focusing on data science. So the major focus area of analytics would be in healthcare, the agriculture, education, smart city infrastructure, and transportation. So if your startup is somewhere around these, it will get benefited because it will align to the Government of India roadmap. So some of the use cases could be like user churn prediction, how a customer or your customers are likelihood to change the service provider. So based on your payment behavior, whether how many calls you are making to the help desk tool, are you getting ruder or not? So your sentiment analysis, your voice pitch, it calculates everything and tries to identify whether you are likelihood of changing the service provider. Recommendation engine, so upselling and cross-selling based on the machine learning market basket analytics. Customer segmentation, I said you do a target marketing. So these are some of the use cases in e-commerce. Use of machine learning in disease diagnostics. So AI-based software will help the real-time COVID diagnosis. So this is I was talking about that this particular company with the KGMU Lucknow has come up with scanning of millions of X-rays and CT scans, and based on that model that they have generated, on the run they can identify quickly that this person is likely or is it a corona patient or not. Right? So that's all done using the machine learning algorithms. I have been the developer of Indian Railways. So guys, have you seen this kind of a probability in your IRCTC portal? I'm sure you would have seen 80% likelihood of confirmation, right? So this confirmed probability comes from the time series analysis or the multivariate analysis that we have done at the back end, which means that it calculates what likelihood that that particular waitlisted ticket, let's say if you have waitlisted 100 and on that train no cancellations happen, it's a trend. So that probability of that ticket at 100 getting confirmed is very less. So it will give you very less percentage of confirmed probability. But in a different train, waitlist 100, because lots of churning happen, a lot of cancellations happen. So from the historical past, it understands that the probability of waitlist 100 getting confirmed is quite high. So the probability could be 80%. So this comes from the historical database which we have created from last 20, 25, 30 years. Crop and soil monitoring can be done using data analytical tools. So these drones and sensor-based predictive agricultural analytics. So a lot of use cases are available in agriculture now. So I am also part of Ministry of Agriculture's this Directorate of Marketing and Inspection, where we are working on a multivariate agricultural commodity minimum support price forecasting model. So minimum support price as of now for all the crops is calculated using a lot of algorithms, and so a lot of statistical models run at the back end. People are continuously calculating the MSP of various crops and then come out with MSP by end once in a year or twice in a year. So that changes. Now with use of machine learning, what we are proposing is that government has come up with this Kisan portal, soil health card, right? E-Naam mandis. So there, all that data is being captured live. So they understand that this particular area, this product or this crop is, the yield is high. So accordingly, the MSP will change. What other parameters it is going to consider? The yield prediction using machine learning, right? Weather forecast of that area, seasons, different seasons of holidays. So holidays change the price of a crop. So MSP should not work on a holiday season. The same MSP should be a different MSP. So macroeconomics variables like farm machinery. Do we have a FCI warehouse at cold storage in that area? So accordingly, the MSP should change. But as of now, MSP is being released only one MSP for all the areas, right? So that's why there is an unrest saying that my MSP should be higher, our MSP should be lower, or that way. So it will determine the initial price, the best price, discount price, and MSP of various crops. And a lot of algorithms are used: dimension reduction, naive Bayesian algorithm, machine classification techniques. So a lot of techniques are used to calculate the minimum support price. This is what I was talking about. That deep neural network is used in FIFA in 2018. So anyhow, these in the next FIFA World Cup, I'm sure people would be, now you should focus on how these machine learning algorithms are being used by various countries and players. So they have all the sensors, and likely which player is likelihood to do a goal. So based on the sweating, the pulse rate, the fatigueness, how much they have run, right? What is their burn ratio and all that, it calculates based on that. And then the manager of the team can take a quick decision. It's an informed decision, right? Instead of randomly changing based on visuals, it is based on the data science. So even see the kind of level data science can be used. Facebook can predict your breakups, right? Think about it. Based on the various sentiments, your various relationships and all that, it can identify your sentiments. Google can detect early signs of blindness because you have cameras in front of your laptop. So Google captures that data, and then based on that, it can identify your color blindness, your near, so different parameters it identifies from your visuals, and then it can identify the early signs of blindness also. So even it can go to the extent that an algorithm knows whether your selfie will succeed or fail. So based on your selfie, it can predict that it is going to succeed or fail, right? Even the data can predict the crime before it happens. So the crime radar is a product which is using machine learning to predict crime in a particular city. Predict. So it has all the data, symptoms of it, and then can predict that this area almost 10 crimes would happen. And what are those areas, what kind of crimes and all that, it can predict. So very funny use case of machine learning. AI-based camera mistook a referee's bald hair for football, and it was continuous. So it was an AI robotic camera for a transmission of a football match, who were treated to follow the ball. It was trained to follow a ball, but it mistook a referee's bald head with the ball, and it continuously focused on that referee only. So game was happening somewhere else. The camera, AI-based camera, it was an automated camera. It was always focusing on that referee. So it can, so somewhere more training is required in that. So that's the nuisances of the machine learning. We have seen that AI surveillance cameras are increasing, and you cannot continuously monitor all those from the feed of those cameras, right? You cannot monitor. So 1 billion cameras are there in worldwide, with 30 billion messages coming every second. Can you monitor? Can you really monitor those feed? No, it has to be all done through the command center, the products that so it can identify various surveillance parameters. On real time, it can identify whether the vehicle detection, right? Your license recognition can be done. If the crime has happened, license recognition, pedestrian detection, people counting can be done. Face detection identification can be done from a public. Face alignment, vehicle model, which kind of a model, crowd density, it can identify which area, what number of people are there, crowd tracking, face recognition. So this all can be done using machine learning algorithms from a massive amount of data that is coming. Right? So this camera AI system, it can detect whether you are wearing a mask. So in the COVID time, people have, so these are all the use cases that you can think of. Think about it. If you have that entrepreneurial capability, think that you just develop a small piece of it. Let's say this company has developed a sensor from the camera. It is able to identify this guy is wearing a mask. This is not wearing. So it is identifying the person as no mask, right? So you don't have to look for thousands of people from the crowd. You just look for that person who is not wearing a So are they maintaining a social distance? So it can identify everything. So focus on those areas those should be a problem statement. Seat belt fastened or not fastened, right? It can identify that. Whether they are on phone, what type of clothes they are wearing, whether riding without a helmet, right? Whether wearing a mask or not, backpack is there, helmet is there or not. So all that can be your innovations. It can lead to your startup ideas. People have also done a lot of sentiment analysis on from Twitter handles and from net and all that, right? So I have done last year I was working on a R and Python code. I did an analysis of a product called Havells Adonia. It was a small product from Havells, and then I did a sentiment analysis on that product, and I could get all the various sentiments, positive and few negative. So the product was almost neutral, so people were positive as well as negative about it. And what were those negative people? A sad story of the state result in loss of jobs, and some negativity people were talking about. So companies have started using sentiment analysis about their new product launch. These are the text mining concepts, which is like you collect data from all the Twitter handles. Let's say FIFA 2018, what people are all talking about, right? IoT, which are the keywords across the IIoT, industrial IoT, right? People, blockchain in IoT, people are talking about it. In data science, Python, science, right? Gathering the data, machine learning, all those are keywords. So this can also give you the positivity and negativity also. Color can change based on the positive and negative keywords. So this is called the word cloud. And there are, of course, some negatives about AI. Physical could be your remote controlled car can be crashed. So if you hack into a machine learning or this autonomous vehicles, it can be crashed as well. So that can be disastrous. On the digital aspects, sophisticated phishing can be done. AI-based phishing. A lot of transactions can be routed to a central server, so it will crash that server. If you are a competitor, they do it. There are instances where one of the competitor has crashed the server of the other guy. So just throwing a lot of data onto that server, and that server crashes. On the political front, we have already seen that there was a fake news and fake videos which are being generated by bot and AI, which can affect the social media, and it can spread fake news. And we have seen that in US presidential campaign in 2016. So these are some of my recent articles. You can go through them. Most of them are related to data science and machine learning. So how we have used data science and machine learning in different industry. For your information, I've just collected some of these good books. You can get few of them and start learning. Let's say data science for business, right? Artificial intelligence, business analytics, and from Pearson. This is more of a statistical knowledge, business statistics, data mining by Charu Agrawal, data science from Urele, SPSS or discovering statistics using R from Andy Field. So these are some of the good books you can refer to. So we have already seen that data science is everywhere, right? Be it internet, be it medicine and discovery, media, security, autonomous vehicles. So my take is that data is everywhere. Now it is only that how you churn that data, torture that data, right? Keep churning that data, and it will confess to anything. So that's the motto of the meaning of data science. Torture the data. Would you agree? The more you churn the data, if there's a data scattered, you don't look at it. The more you look at it, it will start confessing something. It will start speaking. So that's the intent of the data science. Yes, that was about today's session. And I'm through with my session. In case you have any questions or something, I can take them.
Thank you so much, sir. You opened, so much about machine learning. Thank you so much. Application cases really enjoyed. Thank you so much. It was a knowledge state on machine learning. That's what I
Thank
can
you,
say.
sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Do we
Thank
have
you
any?
so much, sir.
Do we have any questions, or anybody want to ask anything, or we can close it?
People here can ask your questions either directly or through chat box. I can read it for you. So I have a query, sir.
Yes, please.
So we have, as you said, we data is like, it is like an ocean. We can do anything with the data. But when we start to work on data, we feel confused to where to start with. I have started a project with blockchain to work with agriculture to increase the production of agriculture. But when I get into it, I wanted to learn IoT. So I just get distracted from a blockchain technology and tend to learn other new things, and I just forget in the previous one. How to get managed with these things, sir?
So that is where I said your business knowledge comes handy, which means that if
Okay.
you are very clear of what you are achieving, so somewhere you have to create your target as well, right? What I want to achieve from this. Let's say I want to increase the productivity of a particular crop. If that is the target, how the yield would get increased, whether I can use a drone for my pesticide spreading, or what would be my yield if I use a drone to calculate my yield factors. What is my nearest Food Corporation of India site, if I can use that to transport all my product into that. So you should have your target in place, and then if you churn that data, you would get a lot of information from that. So create your targets first, that this is what my target would be, and then why you are using blockchain, you are securing your data, right?
Yes, sir.
But what is the other aspect of big data? You are using the sensor data to calculate something, right? So focus
Yes,
on your
sir.
business. So I think, yeah. So focus on your business knowledge into that particular vertical, and then or create your own questions, right? So when you start creating your own questions and target your deliverables accordingly, then you will get the right answer.
Thank you so much, sir. I think our students are so clear about the takeaways. Thank you so much for the clarity, sir.
Thank
I
you.
thank your patience in answering my question too. I would like to hear feedback from a participant. Here we have shared a link. I request each of our participants to share their feedback there. Only if you fill the form, we can able to produce certificates for you. So don't forget to fill the form. And I immensely share my love and gratitude on behalf of our institution and our students and the department to our chief guest, Engineer Bhukitesh Mishra and Mr. Silvaraj, for their time and patience in sharing their knowledge. I feel grateful to be a part of this webinar. Finally, to express the gratitude, I would like to call upon Ms. Veera Renuka Devi from second year CIC department to deliver vote of thanks. Veera Renuka Devi.
Thank you, Shamla. Good afternoon to all gathered here. It gives me an immense pleasure to deliver a vote of thanks for this event to all dignitaries assembled here. I would like to thank our chief guest, Mr. Bhukitesh Mishra, co-founder, advisor of CFS XP Life Private Limited, technology evangelist New Delhi, who honored his function with his inspirational thoughts. And then I would like to thank Mr. R. Selvaraj, MEFIE, Chairman of Computer Society of India, Tilshapalli chapter, for making this wonderful webinar. I would like to thank our beloved chairperson, Tirumadi K. Dhanlakshmi ma'am, Pro-Chairman, Rotarian RSK Raghuram sir, and our principal, Dr. D. Vasudevan sir. Then I would like to thank our convener, HOD of CSC department, Dr. D. Shanti ma'am, coordinator, Dr. D. Suresh sir, and Mr. N. Rajesh Mandian. And then I would like to thank our beloved volunteers, last but not least, beloved audience, for making this function as a grand success. Once again, thanks to one and all present here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Veera Renuka Devi. Every beginning has a sweet ending, and here we are. Thank you all for making this webinar a grand success. Sayonara.
Thank you, sir. So much. Thank you so much. Enjoyed your program. Thank you. It was a wonderful day with you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Suresh. Thank you,
Thank you,
Shyamla.
sir.
Thank you for arranging everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Salili.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Sir.
Thank you, sir.
Everyone. Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Bye.
thank you.
Bye. Take care.
Okay, sir. Thank you.